Hi everyone. Today we are going to focus on lesson 21. The objectives for this lesson is so you will be able to complete a payroll register. You will also be able to research rates of Medicare and Social Security taxes. And lastly, you will be able to compare business expenses to total expenses. We're going to start off with some key terms. We have net pay, which is the income an employee receives after deductions, which are taxes and personal deductions. Gross income or gross pay is the total amount paid before deductions during a pay period. Medicare is a federal government program to provide medical insurance to employees. Social Security is a federal government program that pays former employees for retirement and disability. Payroll register is a record of each employee's gross income, deductions, and net income. So let's go over payroll registers first. As we mentioned earlier, it is a record of each employee's gross income, deductions, and net income. So we want to find tax withheld. We can use gross pay times the tax rate to find that. And net pay is equal to gross pay minus the sum of tax withheld and all other deductions. Here's an example. Ms. Laura earns a regular hourly rate of $24.50 and time and a half when she works overtime. Last week, she worked a total of 55 hours. Deductions included Social Security at 6.2% of gross, Medicare at 1.45% of gross, and federal income tax of $14. We want to find the net pay rounded to the nearest cent. So the first thing we want to do is find the gross pay. How much did she earn? So we know the gross pay, the total amount, is the amount we get paid at regular and the amount we get paid for overtime. And the red part is the regular pay right here. And the purple one is for the overtime. And notice this is the time and a half, the 1.5 that we mentioned. So we want to add that in there when we work with overtime. So let's plug in everything we know. We know the rate is $24.50. So we put that in here. As you should have learned, regular hours go all the way up to 40 hours. So I put 40 in here. Same thing, next formula, we put $24.50 times 1.5, and the 15 means 15 hours overtime. How I got 15 was I took the regular 40 hours, subtract that from the 55 hours that she worked, and that's how I got 15 hours of overtime. So we got that part. Now we just use order of operation to find out the gross pay. So do what's inside the brackets first. The first set of bracket gives you $980. The second set of brackets gives you $551.25. So we add that together and we get a gross pay of $1,531.25. We have that. Now we need to find the net pay, which is basically the take-home pay. So second step is we need to find the deductions, right? Because we need that in order to find out how much is taken away. So let's find the Social Security, how much is taken away from that, how much is for Medicare, and how much is for federal income tax. So plug in what we do know. We know Social Security is 6.2% of the gross pay. Medicare is 1.45% of the gross pay, and the federal income tax is a set number of $14. So remember, we cannot multiply by percentages, so we have to convert it into a decimal. So we have 6.2%, convert that, we get 0.062. Plug in the gross pay. Do the same thing for the Medicare. Instead of 1.45%, we put 0.0145 times the gross pay, and then plus the 14 federal income tax. Now again, just basic math, order of operation. First set of parentheses, I get $94.94. Second set of parentheses, I get $22.20, and then the federal income tax of 14. Add them all together, we get $131.14. That means that is going to be taken away from her paycheck. So last step is to find the net pay, which is the gross pay minus all the deductions. That's going to be $1,531.25 minus $131.14. When we do that, we get $1,400.11. So that is her take-home pay rounded to the nearest cent. So remember, rounding to the nearest cent means 2 decimal places. Do not forget that. Alright, here's another example. So same thing, this time we're looking for the net pay like earlier. We don't have to find the gross pay though. It's already given to you. As you can tell, it says Javier got paid $570 for that week. Now, we basically skip the first step that we did earlier, and we automatically go into step 2, which for this one is only step 1. Find the total deductions, which is the Medicare, Social Security, city tax, any kind of deductions that they mentioned. Here they also mention city tax, so that's something that's a little bit different from the previous slide, but it's the same idea. Get the 1.5%, multiply that by gross. So plug in everything we know, and again we have to convert the percentages to decimal. Gross pay this time is $570, so I added that in there. A little bit different, federal income tax now is $32, so we put $32 in there. Order of operation, we get $35.34 for the first one, $8.27 for the second set, $8.55 for the third set, and then plus $32. So we know the total deductions is going to be $84.16. Step 2 is find the net pay. Subtract the total deductions from the gross pay, and we get $570 minus $84.16, giving us a net pay of $485.84. Alright, now I want you to try one out on your own really quick. Pause the video and then resume it when you are ready. Alright, so this time we have to do what we did in the first slide, and that is to find the gross pay. So let's go ahead and do that first. We have the hourly rate of $22 an hour, and she worked a total of 52 hours. That means it is 40 regular hours and 12 overtime hours. That's the 12 and that's the 40. So first bracket, we get $880. Second bracket, we get $396. Let's add that together. We get $1,276 for the gross pay. Step 2, find the total deductions. So that includes the Social Security, Medicare, and federal income tax. Plug everything we know in there. So 0.062 times gross pay, 1,276, plus 0.015 times 1,276 plus 18. Total deductions is going to add up to $115.61. Now we get that and we subtract it from the gross pay, giving us a net pay or take-home pay of $1,160.39. Alright, now let's go into the business expenses. Remember, a business must keep precise records of all its expenses. You need this for income tax forms later and all that other good stuff, right? So you can, if you own a business, you can calculate it monthly, quarterly, annually. It's really up to you. But of course, you want to make sure it's consistent so that you can compare, of course, or as mentioned in the presentation, to plan for future spending. So it is helpful to calculate percent that a particular business expense is of the total expense. So you can say, look at your records and you can say, for example, rent costs 50% of the total expenses or something like that. So we'll go ahead and move on, show you how to calculate all that. So write down the formula really quick. It is basically the particular expense divided by the total amount. Alright, here's an example. So these are the expense records for LV Sweet Treats for the first quarter of the year. So basically the first 3 months of the year. What percent of total expenses did LV Sweet Treats spend on advertising during the quarter? So remember, percent of total is simply particular expense divided by the total expenses. The question is asking for advertising, so we only care about that number. And that's why I plugged that number into here. $4,684.64 divided by the total expense, which is the number over here. Plug that into your calculator and you should get 0.01101. The textbook, if it's multiple choice, then it'll be a little bit easier. You can take a look at it, see what it is, but if it's specific, if it says round to the nearest tenth of a percent, that's 1 decimal place. If it asks for 100th of a percent, that's 2 decimal places. So keep that in mind. I am converting it to the 100th percent. So that means move the decimal 2 to the right and we get 1.10. So LV Sweet Treats spent 1.10% of the total expenses on advertising during the first quarter. You look at that, that's a pretty good thing because that's a very small amount on advertising. Alright, here's another one. This time, same data. This time, however, we are looking at utilities. So we only care for utilities. That would be $24,682.68 divided by the total. We do that, we get 0.0584. I round it again to the nearest 100th of a percent, and I get 5.84 of the total expenses for utility. I want you to try one out on your own really quick. Pause the video and then resume when you are ready. Alright, we're looking at raw materials, so only focus on that row, and that is the $75,997.34. Divide that by the total expenses, giving you a total of 22.85%. So that's how much she spent on the second quarter for raw materials. Alright, here's another example. This time, it tells you the percentages, it tells you the part, but it doesn't tell you the total budget. So you want to use the same formula, except for this time we're solving for something else. The annual budget, also called the total expenses, because we don't know what that is, we're going to let X be equal to that. You could use any variable you like, or you can write total expenses. It's really up to you. I just like to make it easy and just write one variable. Alright, then we plug in everything we know. We know the percent of total is 68%. or 0.68 from right here. We know the particular expense, which is the employee compensation, is 2,678,284. Divide that by x. So now we are solving for x. In order to solve for variable, you really want to get that variable by itself on one side of the equation. So you want to use opposite operation to get rid of any other numbers on that same side as the variable. So as you can tell, the x is on the right side of the equation. However, there's a number that's on the same side, and we don't want that. That number is the 2,678,284. So we need to figure out a way to do it, or get x by itself. So what I want you to do is multiply x to both sides. When you do that, the purpose, put parentheses so you don't get confused, for the right side is to just cancel out the two x's, right? And on the right side, we are left with 2,678,284. But on the left side, we're left with 0.68x. Now, we still have a number near the x. This time, we want to use opposite operation by dividing. So we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient of 0.68. When we do that, we get x equals 3,938,652.94. If the question does not tell you to round, you leave it as is. If it tells you to round to the nearest dollar, then you want to change this number right here into a 3 and get rid of the cent. So be very, very careful on what the question is asking of you in the workbook and checkpoint and or exam. Alright, I want you to try one out really quick. Pause the video and then resume when you are ready. Alright, same thing as we did in the previous slide. We're solving for the total expense or the annual budget. Plug in everything we know. 4% convert it into 0.04. 16,861 goes into the particular expense or the utilities divided by x. Same thing as earlier, multiply both sides by x. We get 0.04x equals 16,861. Divide both sides by 0.04 and we get $421,525. So that is the annual budget. Alright, that is all that we have for today. If you have any questions on this lesson, feel free to reach out to me.